Hello and welcome to the next episode of Exploring the Sheffield Supertram series. I'm here at Westfield Tram Stop on the Blue Route, so it's time to explore the Sheffield Supertram. So Westfield Tram Stop is situated one stop from the end of the Blue Route at Halfway, which we'll be covering in the next episode. And most of the Blue Route from Gleddes Townsend to Halfway opened in March 1995, completing pretty much the Blue Route, with the last bit to open being to Mainin Bridge later that year. So Westfield is could be one of the least used tram stops on the whole of the Supertram, purely because it's one stop from Halfway. It doesn't really see much people using it. To be truthfully honest, there's not a lot in the area. There's like a park, an industrial estate. You're right next to a main road and junction. There's not really much here to talk about. And I'm going to be truthfully honest, this episode might be possibly the shortest episode because we've covered the black route, which is the tram train, and the yellow route in the last episode. There's not really much to talk about in this episode, purely because you're pretty much next to the main road or pretty much on the main road. There's not going to be much to talk about. So I think for the sake of ticking it off, I think we should head to the next stop. So the next stop is Beighton Drakehouse Lane, and it basically serves the Beighton residential area, and it is also situated at one of the ends of the Crystal Peak shopping centre. And at this point the tram does a very interesting manoeuvre around the edge of the Sainsbury's car park, which is a very interesting thing to see, so I'll sort of show you that when we leave here. One thing I did forget to mention at Westfield is the reason why there's been a massive gap between the last episode and this episode, give or take. There was the Scotland video and the Yorkshire series. It's purely because, well, let's say they've been replacing a lot of the rails on the Halfway route, the Herdings Park, and I believe between Sheffield Station and Gleddes Townsend as well. And just at the moment, when I'm filming this, we're just replacing the rails, I believe, between Hillsborough and Middlewood on the yellow route, so everything's a bit all over this shot at the moment, but it's great to see that we're putting investment into the network. I believe it's around £5 million for spending on replacing the rails and stuff, but we're also building new shelters, which is great to see. Just need some more shelters with benches, and the benches and the shelters here do have benches. Can't speak, but they do have benches, which is good to see. So I think, to be frank, let's go to the next stop. So here we are at the next stop, which is Moss Way, and it is sometimes referred to on the maps as Moss Way for Peaks College, which is one of Sheffield College's probably many campuses, I believe so, not entirely sure. That's pretty much what's here. There's like a main junction behind me. There's a massive pylon right next to you, so I don't know how I feel about being right next to that, but that's fair. But apart from that, it's, you know what, pretty scenic actually. I quite like the stop. It feels a little bit more secluded, but it's quite nice. And yeah, just no, there's no benches there. There's there's not much here. So I'm just going to actually head down here because this bit looks interesting. So it looks just to be a path that leads to residential housing behind these trees, but you do get a nice view, which I like. So I think that's really it for Mossway. I think we should head to the next stop. So here we are at the next stop, which is Hackenthorpe, and well, let's say we're not hacking anything here. Yes, Roger, let's move on. We're literally right, and when I say right, literally next to the main road here, and this is possibly one of the good things about tram systems, is they run alongside the road and whatnot, so that's one thing I love about it. But another thing that's quite cool here at Hackenthorpe, this is a nice little park just in front of me. So I think we should just go and have a little check out what the park's like. So walking down what looks to be like a newly tarmacked path by the looks of it, brings you to a really nice tram spotting point, where you can see the trams coming on and off the main road and curving around into Hackenthorpe Tram Stop. And it is also where the entrance to the park is, so let's have a little wander in. So there really isn't much there at the park, and it looked a little bit sketchy, so I just thought I'm going to head back to the tram stop and we'll get the tram to the next stop. But this is where things get a little bit interesting, because, well, we actually leave. You know what? I'm going to save that for the next stop. So let's go. So while I'm waiting for the tram, it looks like there's some reminiscence of the COVID-19 pandemic that we've all tried to forget about. Yeah, there's reminiscence here. It's just social distancing posters, which you can see there's a bit beaten up, which, to be honest, everyone hated that. So let's move on to the next stop before we all go into a debate. It looks like the dot matrix screens are a bit broken here, because it's saying mailing B. Oh, come on, South Yorkshire Supertram, fix that. So here we are at Birley Lane's tram stop, And between Birley Lane and White Lane, which is the next tram stop, something interesting happens. The South Yorkshire Supertram actually leaves South Yorkshire and actually enters into Derbyshire, because it is literally on the border. So really, it should be called the South Yorkshire and Derbyshire Tramway. Really, it should be, but it's on a small serving. It's not even stopping in Derbyshire, it's running through. But technically, Derbyshire has a tram network, but we're not going to talk about that because it's not official. So, we're literally at the side of the main, got the main road down there and like a little housing estate up here. But you've got a nice view in front of there, which is really nice. So I think what I'm going to do is get the tram to the next stop, which is White Lane, because you can actually see where it crosses into Derbyshire a little bit better from the next tram stop. And that will be the last tram stop in this episode. And yes, I did say we're going to be a very short episode. I've got a few hours in Sheffield to kill, so I just thought, why not while I'm here? I thought I'd come up and film this video. So it might be a bit shoddy and not the best, but I just thought, well, I've got a few hours, so why not? So let's head to White Lane. So here we are at the next tram stop, which is White Lane, and well, as you can probably tell, we're literally right on the main road, and it's sort of like the public path as well through the tram stop, which is quite interesting. But it's there's quite a couple of these stops on the Supertram network where they're literally out on the road, and there's some in the city centre section as well. So what I mentioned at the last stop about the tram does cross into Derbyshire, you need to head down here and we'll actually have a look at where that actually happens. So let's go. So that is the end of White Lane down there, and White Lane tram stop is up there. But if I just turn 180 degrees, you can see where the tram leaves the main road and heads towards the previous stop, which was Birley Lane. But you might not know that is the point where the tram network actually leaves Sheffield and South Yorkshire and enters Derbyshire, with the actual border into Derbyshire literally just down there. So I think we should head down there. So I am now just reaching the point of still being in Sheffield, but any second now I am now no longer in Sheffield and in sort of no man's land with the Sheffield sign literally just behind me. Where can I get it? There. Sheffield sign is literally there. So we should keep walking a few seconds. We will then be entering Derbyshire. So let's go to Derbyshire. I'm now in Derbyshire, and you can just, well, okay, when I say just, I mean, you can't really see the tram, but you can just see the top of the electric pylons. But yeah, I'm in Derbyshire, so I think I should head back to South Yorkshire and Sheffield to White Lane tram stop and summarise and conclude this video, which technically means that, I don't know, let's just head back to White Lane. So I'm back at White Lane tram stop after walking up towards Derbyshire and back. You have to forgive if I'm a bit sweaty and a bit warm, because it is about 23 degrees when I'm filming this. It gives me flashbacks to the first episode when I said it was absolutely freezing cold at Nunnery Square. And I'm not going to totally complain at how freezing it is, and I literally cannot feel anything on my body. It's the opposite, and I knew this would happen, but enough of me rambling. This is it for episode 3 of Exploring with Sheffield Supertram. We've covered a couple of stations on the halfway branch that branches off from Gladys Townsend to halfway. In the next episode, we'll be visiting the remaining stations on the halfway branch, and then, who knows, there's a surprise in store at the end of the next episode. But until the next episode, which is episode 4, see you later. And and don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and why not leave a comment as to what your favourite Supertram stop is in Sheffield. So until the next video, see you later. Bye.